when I was 8 years old, I loved the TV show Arthur. I remember one of the episodes revolved around pedometers and featured all of the characters participating in a competition to see who could get the most steps in 1 week. And after watching that episode, I became obsessed with the small gadgets and begged my parents to buy me one. Eventually, they caved in, and I gleefully unwrapped a black and green clip-on pedometer on my 9th birthday. I quickly fell in love with the contraption and refused to get out of bed in the morning unless it was attached to my waist. I remember constantly checking my steps and even cleaning my pedometer every night so that it was polished and ready to go in the morning. After seeing that I had become a fanatic for my new pedometer, my parents even let me upgrade to a Fitbit, which had many features that I put to good use. My favorite being the fireworks it played whenever I got my steps for the day. Then, a few months passed, and it was almost time for the new year. Now, I was a super ambitious 9-year-old who tended to make at least 10 New Year's resolutions every single year. Although this would go great for the first 2 weeks, in which I would drink 10 glasses of water every day, and go on a walk every day, and write in my journal every day, and avoid sugar every day, it obviously did not last. I knew I wanted to do something different this year, so I decided to research how to plan properly and be more efficient with my time. After my very thorough search of the web, which lasted about 10 minutes, I saw something similar in all the websites and articles I viewed. It is best to put your focus on one goal rather than spread it out on attaining many goals at once. Although this should have been obvious to me at that point, I realized that I tended to take a quantity over quality approach, blocking me from achieving any goals I wanted. However, this year, I decided to force myself to stick to one goal, regardless of any difficulties. I decided that I would walk 10,000 steps every single day. So, once again, the first 2 weeks of the year went wonderfully. I was able to complete my steps every single day with no difficulties and felt super productive. But then, I started to lose motivation and considered trying again next year. Although I forced myself to continue, I soon ran into my first hurdle in completing my steps. It was raining, and I couldn't go on my daily walk. When I looked outside at the pouring rain, I actually felt happy as I realized that I finally had an excuse not to do my steps. And at this thought, I realized that it was these excuses that prevented me from achieving any of my goals. So, I decided to find an extremely efficient and energizing way to solve this problem. That being walking in circles around the dining table for 2 whole hours. This became my primary walking trail whenever I couldn't go outside due to the time, the weather, or if I was sick. And when we moved into a new house, I upgraded my walking trail to the hallway on the 2nd floor, which really irritated my family as they could often hear my loud footsteps at 11 p.m. at least twice a week, especially my dad, who slept right beneath my designated walking trail. And as the years went on, I encountered more unique difficulties, such as having to complete my steps at 3 a.m. before I boarded my 16-hour flight to India, or having to walk figure eights at a slumber party while all my friends watched a movie in the other room. I believe that these initial difficulties that I went through encouraged me to maintain my habit to this day and walk a grand total of 25 million steps. Before, I would have reasoned with myself and would have said that missing one day won't make that much of a difference. But in reality, it made all the difference. Once I knew I could successfully maneuver my way around unforeseen problems, I had no excuse. The consistency I gained from creating these habits also showed up in other aspects of my life, whether that be completing my homework every day or making my bed in the morning. So I asked myself, why do people struggle so much with maintaining habits? Why did I struggle for so long? I mean, it sounds easy enough, right? All you have to do is complete one task every single day. But what makes that so daunting? And why is it such a common problem? The answer? Framing. People tend to struggle to maintain their goals, especially long-term goals, because of how they frame them. For example, which sounds easier to do? I want to read 50 books in 1 year, or I want to read 1 book a week. The first step in creating any long-term goal is splitting it into smaller, more attainable goals. Although they will both result in the same thing, the idea is to mold your mindset into creating a goal that it actually believes it can attain. Another common problem is focus. When you set a goal, what are you focusing on? When I would make 10 New Year's resolutions for myself, I would constantly be focusing on how much the habits would change me for the better and what I would be like at the end of the year. So, for the first 2 weeks of the year, I would create a checklist every day and voraciously check off every goal I maintained for that day. But after those 2 weeks, I wouldn't see any difference. It turns out drinking 8 glasses of water every day for 2 weeks doesn't make you extremely healthy, nor does meditating for 10 minutes every day for 2 weeks make you perfectly level-headed and relaxed all the time. My focus was constantly on the outcome, rather than what I had to do to reach the outcome. And so, when I wouldn't see results immediately, I would get frustrated and quit. I realized that the only way to counter this would be to focus on the short-term processes that would allow me to attain my goals. So, I made myself believe that my only goal was to meditate for 10 minutes for that day, or drink 8 glasses of water for that day. And this way of thinking changed everything. I didn't have to feel overwhelmed anymore and wasn't constantly looking for results that wouldn't show up immediately. Before I started thinking of long-term goals as processes, I also struggled with becoming easily frustrated at the immense difficulty of maintaining goals. However, I realized that the more I got past any problems I encountered, the more I actually started to enjoy having problems. Which sounds ridiculous, since who really enjoys having problems? Although we tend to want to avoid most difficulties, there are some difficulties that will benefit us, namely desirable difficulties. A desirable difficulty is a learning task requiring considerable but desirable effort, and thereby improving long-term performance and introducing an enhanced learning experience. A desirable difficulty can be anything, ranging from having to learn new but challenging topic at school, or dealing with additional work after you get a promotion at your job. Without having desirable difficulties in every aspect of your life, it's often difficult to improve in whatever you're working on. I, for example, used to passionately avoid taking any difficult classes or extracurriculars because I was scared I wouldn't be successful at them. And as a result, I rarely learned anything new. All I gained from taking those classes and extracurriculars was the instant gratification I received when I already knew the content. I would have been a lot better off if I had just resisted the temptation of being successful easily and immediately, and taken the route of delayed gratification. Now, I'm sure that every single one of you has had some kind of struggle with consistency, and that every struggle has been incredibly frustrating and confusing to deal with. So, don't make 10 goals for yourself at one time. Stick to one, and then split it into even shorter goals. Force yourself to push through any roadblocks you encounter on the way. Welcome those desirable difficulties, one day at a time. Thank you.